Hello, hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome to a brand new cozy color along inside my studio. We are going to color an adorable little moon village today inside my coloring book, Charming Escape. Because I'm feeling really inspired by that recent Artemis 2 mission, and I wanted to celebrate that incredible journey that those astronauts took. And I also want to color while I chat about my brand new coloring book that launched today called Seasons of Whimsy, but more on that in a little while. This is the page we'll be working on today. Now first, if you are new here, my name is Melanie, aka the Swimming Owl, and I'm a full-time mixed media artist, and I really love bringing my own little whimsical worlds to life through my artwork and my illustrated coloring books. Before I get started on my markers and colored pencil coloring, I wanted to show you what digital coloring looks like and how I plan out my colors when I'm a little bit unsure of my color palette. I pull the PNG file into the app Procreate on my iPad, and I put that layer, the PNG file layer, set as a reference mode, and that allows me to drop colors into the spaces and treat this like a coloring page. This is just a very quick little tutorial. If you were ever interested in digital coloring, this is how I do it, and it's also how I plan out my pages. I know some people really enjoy digital coloring, or they prefer printing on their own paper, so I do always include the digital downloads to all of my coloring books inside my shops. So I played around with a lot of different color palettes and color ideas for this cute moon village, and then I ended up simplifying it a little bit after playing around quite a bit, and I kept a more limited color palette, which you will see right here. This is going to be my plan and what I'm going to do with my markers and my colored pencils. So if you have any questions about that process or how I digitally color, feel free to leave those below, and I will definitely help you to the best of my abilities. Alright, next thing I do is I hold up my different swatch sheets to this little plan that I made on my iPad, and I pick out my markers and try to find something as similar as possible to this plan. So I'm starting with these pastel Artex markers. These are new to me. They were gifted to me for like a TikTok video. They're definitely not my favorite. I wish they had a brush tip, and they feel a little bit dry to me, but they do have a really nice pastel range. And the box that they come in is like amazing. I love that it opens up and then tips over to create its own like on its side box that you store the markers in. That, in my opinion, is better than how the Ohuhu markers come. So I will say that box is revolutionary. I really like how they deliver on their packaging. So once I looked through the Artex markers and picked out what I thought would work for the pastels, then I switched over to my Ohuhu swatch sheets and I filled in the gaps. And these are not going to be all the markers that I'm going to end up using. I do have to pick out a couple more as I'm working, like here I'm picking out another one. But for the most part, you can look at this little swatch card right here, and if you'd like to use something similar to me, you can pause the video here in just a second and look at it and grab whatever you have that's as close as possible to these colors if you'd like to color along with me. Again, this page is inside Charming Escape. This is not inside the new coloring book, but I really wanted to do a moon coloring page because Artemis 2 was on my mind, right? The fact that we sent a woman around the moon, it just gives me all the feels, and the stories coming out of that mission just inspired the heck out of me. So I really wanted to take some time to think about that and celebrate it and just remember it. So that's what I'm doing here on this coloring page. So I'm starting with these clouds first because they're the trickiest thing that I'm going to be attempting on this page, because they are a bit of an ombre style blend where we're going from a kind of pale buttery yellow to a pink color. So the pale yellow is at the top of the clouds and the pink is coming up from the bottom, and I'm overlapping those colors quite a bit, and then I'm going to come back with the yellow and go back over the top of the pink and just get them to blend as best as I can. I don't worry about making perfectly seamless, super smooth transitions. I'm okay with texture showing up in my work, and so I let it look really playful. But here you can see me kind of scrubbing back over the top with that yellow color and just getting it to blend a little bit more. The other thing to note is, you didn't see me do this, but I tucked a piece of chipboard or cardstock underneath this page so that my markers do not bleed through onto the following coloring pages. I always create my books as single-sided images, so yes, you can use markers in here as long as you put something behind your page when you're coloring. So that's what you see kind of clipped behind that page there. All right, I'm working on the front cloud now using the same exact technique. Again, my one regret about these Artex markers is that I do wish this was a brush tip and not the broad chisel tip. I don't like working with these. It feels very harsh. It creates really harsh lines, and I love how soft brush tips are. It feels more like painting to me, but I made it work. The other thing I will fess up to when I was doing these clouds was I was trying to work a little bit too fast. I was in like a little bit of a rush today for whatever reason. I was not feeling as chill as I should have. I think I felt better by the time I finished coloring, which is the whole point, right? So the markers bled outside of the cloud lines just a little bit because I was layering in so much ink, and so it has to go somewhere. So where does it go? It bleeds outside the lines. But we are not perfectionists here, and we are okay with that. In the spots where it got really crazy, I did go ahead and grab out my colorless blender, and I pushed the ink back towards where it was supposed to go. So right here. So this is just the colorless blender, and I'm going over the spot where it did kind of come out of the bottom of the cloud here, and that worked pretty darn well to push the ink back into the deeper part of the page and back up into the cloud. And then you could always, if it really bothered you, you could use a white colored pencil or a little bit of white paint or white pastel or white charcoal, something like that even to cover it up, but I'm not that picky about it. So those clouds are pretty much the trickiest marker part of this coloring page that I did, and they're pretty much done at this point. I do just a tiny bit of touch up right here to see if it's going to make any difference, and then I pretty much call them done. And from here on out, it's going to be just basically coloring in sections with different colors. The next thing I'm going to work on is the actual moon, not the craters first, just the kind of background of the moon with a kind of lavender-ish color. So while I'm working on the rest of this coloring page with my markers, I would really love to talk to you about the super exciting launch of my brand new coloring book. It literally came out today. You can go get a copy, printed or digital download copy of this new coloring book right now, and it is called Seasons of Whimsy. This book is a really sweet and simpler style coloring book, much like this one right here, Charming Escape. And this time the theme is all about the magic of the 4 seasons. So we get to journey through spring, summer, fall, and winter. The beginning of the book has a handful of pages that celebrate all 4 seasons in one page, and then after those we enter spring. And you'll see that by the nature path that we start on, and there's a little sign that says spring, and after that you then have, I think it's 8 pages that are all about spring. Then you will see the nature path changes to summer. Then, 8 pages of summer, then we see the nature path change to fall, several pages of fall, and then we finally end in winter. And so the magical thing about this book that it makes it really unique and fun, it kind of feels like a storybook because you revisit the same scenes and watch how they transition throughout the seasons. So I think it's just, like I said, it's a fun, unique idea. It's not something that I have created before, so I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this book, and I am going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek flip through here in just a second. If you do not want to see the pages before you buy the book, maybe skip ahead about 30 seconds to a minute, starting about right now. So here is a super quick flip through just to give you a vibe on what this book feels like. I do have a few fun little animal characters in the book because my daughter said that was the best part and I needed to have some. I generally like doing more landscapes and things like that, but I made sure to include a few really cute little animals in there for people that like coloring characters. So there's something for everyone. There are pages that do have more details, there are pages that are more simple, so it kind of helps you decide what mood you're in and you can color what fits that mood for that day. And you could color an image that shows up in each season or all in order, or you could color all the spring pages during spring, and then when it's summer, go to summer. Like literally you can do whatever order you want. You can spend as much time in whatever season you want. It's just a good time. It's cute. It's a feel-good coloring book. And yeah, I'm really proud of this one. I think you guys are gonna really like it. This coloring book is going to be another square coloring book, so it's 8.5 inches square. There are over 40 pages to color, which is a nice thick one. That's like 11 pages more than Charming Escape. It is printed on KDP paper, but that's what I'm coloring on right here with alcohol markers, so I have no problem with the KDP paper. If you, however, like printing out the pages on thicker paper, the digital download is always available in my website shop and my Etsy store. So you can get it in either location. When you support me on my website, it is the swimmingowlshop.com. I do take home a little bit more profit than what Etsy takes from me, so that is always preferred if possible. But if Etsy is a little bit easier for you, or you have a gift card on Etsy or something like that, obviously I totally support your decision to shop there too. If you just want a super fast copy and you don't care about it being signed, but you do want the physical book, Amazon is the other choice you could shop on. So you can shop my website, you can shop on Etsy, or you can shop on Amazon. So the links for this new book, Seasons of Whimsy, will all be below so you can easily find them. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that has already purchased the book, and people that are already coloring in it and sharing their images, the people that were my early release teammates. I appreciate you so very much. You have no idea how much you've helped me grow and reach new people so that more people can enjoy these books and become more creative in their daily life and feel that happiness that comes from being creative. So if you pick up Seasons of Whimsy and you end up coloring in it and then sharing it on social media, make sure you tag me at The Swimming Owl so that I can see your beautiful work. And then I love to reshare your work as well on my page if you're open to that. I love celebrating you and the creations that you make inside these books because, as I always say, this is a collaboration between you and I. I'm starting the work by creating the line art, and then I want to see what kind of magic you create with color, what you are able to do with these pages and how far you can take them. And some people even add line art to them or create these just incredible backgrounds that I didn't imagine, or just use such incredible creativity. I love to see it, I love to share it and celebrate you. So if you have any questions about Seasons of Whimsy, this cozy 4 seasons coloring book, feel free to leave them for me below or message me on social media or email me. I'm very happy to answer your questions, and I cannot wait to see what everybody does inside this brand new book. Oh, and then because I always like to mention it because I know not everyone has been around since the beginning with me, and you may not know this, the difference between buying the book from me and buying the book from Amazon is not the paper quality at this time, because right now they are printed through KDP, even the books that I'm shipping out from my studio. The difference is how it arrives to you. So when you buy a book directly from me instead of Amazon, I have received these books and quality checked them. Then I sign the book for you, and then I add in a piece of chipboard so that you can use it between your pages, as the one you see me using right here. I send you one as well, only right now they're craft paper colored, so they're brown instead of white. So you get a piece of board to use between your pages. and a couple of little fun things inside the package, along with like a free bookmark, and then it's packaged inside a sleeve and just has cute packaging. Okay, it comes so much cuter than how they are thrown in like a bubble mailer or a box when Amazon ships it. So you know it's going to show up in better shape usually than how Amazon is sending them out, because I've quality checked them. It is signed, so you get that extra perk, and then you get a couple of little goodies along with it. So it's like a completely different experience between getting it on Amazon fast, super fast, super quick, very impersonal, or you can buy it from me and get a little bit more of a personal touch. So either way you want to get it is fine by me. But if you like the extra perks, then you're going to want to go through my website or my Etsy shop. So if you love coming to my channel here for the color alongs, the next several color alongs will definitely be inside this brand new book, Seasons of Whimsy. If you have the book already or are getting it soon, feel free to leave me a comment as well and let me know what pages you would like to see me color here on the channel, and I will add them to my list. Probably I will start with some spring pages or one of the pages that celebrate all 4 seasons at once. But because we are finally heading into spring here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I'm sure I will color 1 or 2 of those first, or at least 1 before we then dive into spring. It feels like spring only lasts like 3 minutes, and then you go from freezing temperatures to 80s before you know it. And that makes me sad. So I wish we had a little bit more time with spring. It's one of my favorite times of the year, that new growth, the renewal, those super bright greens, the baby animals, the birds. I love spring. So I wouldn't be surprised if I color a couple of those, even if we're going into summer. But like I said, if there's something in the book that you would really love to see me color along with you, let me know. Leave me that page in one of the videos, leave it as a comment, message me, email me, however you'd like to get a hold of me, you can, and I will add it to the list, because we are here to create together, or spend creative time together. Oh, the other thing I should have mentioned is that obviously this coloring book will also be available in my physical gift shop here in Crystal Falls, Michigan. I doubt most of you are anywhere near me, but if you do happen to be someone somewhat local, yes, you can come and get the book directly from me in person at the Owl's Nest studio here in Crystal Falls. So that is also an option. Alright, so back to the actual page we have been coloring here today, this cute little moon village. At this point, I'm mostly done with the markers. It's just going to be a few small things now, like the stars or potentially the planets in the background, and then the shadowy parts of the craters. Just kind of adding in a few more small marker details. And then you may have noticed, or you may not have noticed because I was chatting so much about the new book, that I did have to pick out one other color. That super dark purple that I put on the doors was also going to be like the rooftop colors and some of the other rock colors, and I realized it was like way too intense. So I picked out more of a red-gray color to be the rooftops and some of that kind of stonework on the little cottage on the right side. And I ended up liking that color a lot better. I think that super dark one would have been really overwhelming, so it worked out having that just on the doors. So you'll want to add maybe a red-gray if you're trying to follow along with my colors. I ended up keeping this page much more simple than my normal coloring pages. I wanted something that I could complete in definitely under 2 hours, and I think I ended up finishing this in about an hour or just over an hour. So this is much more simple than some of my other color alongs have been in the past. I didn't add a whole lot of texture like with the markers. I left that for the colored pencils. And then you'll notice on like the little stone cabin, the top right cabin, how there are some stones in the line art. I just colored right over those with the marker and then planned to give them a little bit more attention with my colored pencils in a bit. Sometimes I will make those pop a little bit more by doing more marker work on them, like you've seen me possibly do in past color alongs. But like I said, I just wanted this to be a little bit more simple today and just give me some time to kind of chill out and color. It's also been quite a while since I've done like a proper color along, and so I was also feeling like a little bit out of practice, or like that muscle hadn't been stretched for a little bit of time, and so I did need it to be a little bit more simple so that I can get back into this. I had to take a little bit of time off to focus on other things like my physical shop here in town and making videos about that, which has also been super fun. So I just needed this to be a little bit simplified so that I could get back into it and remember part of my process and how I do things. And I think that's totally normal to have seasons of life where you have to put something down for a little bit of time before you can come back and do it again. And since I was working on the new coloring book, I also didn't have as much time to work in my older books. So yeah, it's all about just balancing all of that out. And so that meant a slightly simplified coloring today, and that was okay. I've been tossing around the idea of trying to film some coloring inside my gift shop. So while I'm sitting there and it's a quiet day, or in between customers, I've been considering coloring at my working table in there and seeing if I can get some quality footage that way, because that would allow me to make these color alongs a little bit faster. I would just have to do the voiceover parts when I'm here in my home studio, because it is way too noisy on that main street to try to do any kind of video editing and voiceover work there. But I'm just wondering, I might be able to do that. So I'm going to play with that here in the next couple of weeks and see if I can't make a few more color alongs, because when I release a new book, I like how last year I released a lot of color alongs pretty quickly afterwards. It felt like it kept the excitement going for all of us with the new book. So I would love to do that with this new Seasons of Whimsy book. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, here I want to say this was really successful. I used one of the light pinks and light purples right inside these craters as a shadow, and that was super simple but worked really well. It actually read as a really nice deep shadow in there. So this is one of the light pink or purple colors. You could use either one probably and it would work really well. Generally, I do love using a purple for a shadow, so that's a little tip for you if you haven't heard me say that before. A light purple on top of your marker or a mid-tone purple on top of your marker can work really nicely for little shadows. So these are just the last few marker details, and at this point I'm going to grab out some colored pencils that are similar to the colors I've been using as markers, and then I'll just smooth any areas out that I want to, or add extra texture or highlight or shadow. I just bounce around a lot with my colored pencil at this point. And if you are looking at that collection of pencils and wondering, what the heck is that turquoise color doing in there? Those of you that have been around a while know that I like to throw in a little bit of surprise color here and there, and so it just wouldn't be one of my coloring pages without either some fluorescent pink, some like, is it called dahlia purple or mulberry, or turquoise. Those are three that I tend to throw in into most of my pages. And so I grabbed that turquoise and I am going to use it just a tiny bit in some shadowy areas. It's going to be a little bit hard to see on screen, but in person it makes a really lovely contrast and pop of vibrance into those areas. And so it always makes it feel more like my work when I do that. The other thing that I did not show on here because it was not super successful, I tried a couple of white gel pens to add in like the knobs on the doors, and tried to put in to see if it would work for some sparkle, but I was struggling this day, so I said, you know what, it's fine, it doesn't need all that, we're keeping it simple. You will see a tiny bit of white on those doorknobs at the end when I show you the page all finished, but I didn't leave it in the footage. Here I am brightening the edges of the moon to give it a tiny bit of glow. I also really liked that effect. I even colored over the black lines just a little bit to soften it. And it definitely helped give it this kind of like supple moon feeling. Okay, here's that color. So see, I am going to use it, and I'm putting it in shadowy areas. So the craters around the doors, and any areas that kind of overlap, just a little bit of it. And it instantly felt like a Melanie coloring page. So we are in the last few minutes of coloring here on this page. Thank you so much for spending some creative time with me today, though. And if you're not done yet and you'd like more creative time together, there is a full playlist of color alongs on my channel inside my other books, and more inside this book, Charming Escape. And there will be more to come inside the future coloring books. So feel free to subscribe if you like, having a creative buddy to hang out with you, or if you'd like more updates on what I'm up to as a full-time artist. And I'd love to have you here. If you have any questions about what we created today or the book that just came out, leave them below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, thank you again so much for being here and spending time with me. I hope that you got to do something creative today, and if you did, let me know below what you were working on. Can't wait to see you again next time, and again, let me know if there's a page you would like us to work on together. Until then, happy coloring and happy creating, my friend.